Amara Nwosu, the billionaire's only daughter, had everything: beauty, luxury, and influence. But the one person who stole her heart wasn't a celebrity, a businessman, or a suitor from her elite world. It was Chika, the humble gateman who greeted her every morning with nothing but sincerity. She had status. He had nothing but dignity. Yet their hearts chose each other, against every rule, every expectation, and every warning. This is the story of a love that crossed the line society dared them not to cross. Before we continue, please like and subscribe to this channel so you won't miss out on our next powerful story. The golden gates of the Nwosu mansion slid open with a soft hum as the morning sun rose above the estate. Dew clung to the hedges lining the driveway, and the fountain at the center of the compound glistened like diamonds in the new day's light. Chika adjusted his uniform cap and straightened his stance. He was new, barely 3 weeks into the job, but he had already earned a reputation for two things: his calm politeness and his disciplined punctuality. He had learned early that the Nwosu household valued order, precision, and loyalty. He stood tall, hands behind his back, waiting for the morning routine to begin. Right on cue, the front doors of the mansion opened, and she walked out. Amara Nwosu, heiress to the Nwosu Empire. The only daughter of billionaire Chief Gabriel Nwosu, owner of hotels, tech companies, and real estate sprawled across continents. But none of those titles mattered in the moment Chika first laid eyes on her. She moved with a kind of quiet grace that couldn't be bought with money. Her white sundress flowed gently around her knees, and her curly black hair bounced with each step she took. She held a small cup of coffee in her hand, her favorite, judging by how she inhaled it like breath itself. Chika had seen her before, always from a distance, always from behind the gates. But today felt different. As she approached, he quickly dropped his gaze, not wanting to be mistaken for staring. The last thing he needed was trouble on the job. Not here. Not in this world. But then, "Good morning," she said. Her voice was soft but confident, with a musical rhythm that forced him to look up despite himself. "Good morning, Ma," he replied quickly. She smiled lightly. "It's Amara, not Ma. I don't bite." Chika swallowed, unsure how to answer that without embarrassing himself. She took another step toward him, curious. "You're new here, right?" "Yes. I started recently." "What's your name?" "Chika." Her smile warmed. "Nice to officially meet you, Chika." He wasn't sure why his chest tightened at that moment. Maybe it was the sincerity in her voice. Maybe it was because no one from a wealthy household had ever spoken to him with such genuine interest. He had worked in estates before, usually invisible, often ignored, but Amara was different. She didn't look through people, she looked at them. A car drove up to pick her, but she waved it off. "I think I'll walk today," she said. She turned back to Chika. "I'll be back before noon." Her eyes lingered on him, just 1 second too long, and then she walked toward the tall gates. Chika exhaled only when she was gone. Amara's world. The streets outside the mansion were buzzing with life. Roadside vendors setting up for the day, neighbors sweeping in front of their homes, children running off to school. But Amara walked with earphones plugged in, music soft, her mind far away. Her world at home was suffocating. Every step she took was watched. Every move was measured. Every decision was influenced by her parents' expectations. Her father wanted her to marry into wealth. Her mother wanted her to uphold the family's image. Society wanted her to remain in her golden cage. The only place she felt truly unburdened was outside, among ordinary people who lived freely, who laughed loudly, who loved without restrictions. But lately, it wasn't the outside world she looked forward to. It was something else. Someone else. The new Gateman. His calmness. His politeness. His striking features, though she tried not to think about that too much. And the way he seemed so grounded, so comfortable in his own skin. She had noticed him since the first day. Not because he tried to stand out, he didn't. But because in a place filled with polished marble floors and expensive perfume, he felt real. Chike's life behind the uniform. Back at the gate, Chike returned to his post, but his mind was far from calm. His family depended on this job. His younger sister's school fees. His mother's medication. Rent. He could not afford distractions, especially of the heart. He wiped his brow and forced himself to focus on his duties, repeating silently, "She is the madam's daughter. Stay in your lane. Don't get carried away." But no matter how many times he reminded himself, he couldn't shake the sound of her voice saying, "It's Amara. I don't bite." She had smiled at him. Smile. With warmth. With intention. He didn't know what that meant. He didn't know what she wanted. He didn't know why she bothered to speak to him at all. But he knew one thing. He had never met anyone like her. The evening that changed everything. The sun dipped below the horizon, and Amara returned from her walk, glowing with sweat and happiness. She approached the gate again. "Welcome back, Ma." He shot him a look. He corrected quickly, flustered. "Amara. Mean. Welcome back, Amara." She laughed softly, a melodic sound that made him stiffen to avoid smiling too widely. Then, unexpectedly, she handed him a cold bottle of water. "You look like you could use this," she said. He froze. No employer had ever given him so much as a greeting, let alone water. "Thank you," he murmured. "You're welcome," she replied. "You remind me of someone who works hard and doesn't complain." He didn't know what to say. She didn't wait for him to answer. She simply walked inside, leaving him standing at the gate with a cold bottle of water and a heart pounding harder than the mansion's generator. The first spark. That night, Chike lay in the small staff quarters at the far end of the compound, staring at the ceiling. Why had she done that? Why was she talking to him? Why was she being kind? He didn't understand. But he knew the truth, dangerous as it was. He wanted to see her again. He wanted to hear her voice again. He wanted to know why the billionaire's daughter smiled at the gateman like he mattered. Morning came quietly, with soft sunlight stretching across the Nwosu estate. Chike stood by the gate, alert as always. But his mind was cluttered. Last night's moment replayed in his head over and over. Her smile. Her laugh. Her water bottle. Her warmth. He told himself it meant nothing. He tried to believe it. But his heart refused to obey. He was still thinking about her when he heard footsteps approaching the gate. Soft footsteps. Like, familiar. His heart thudded once. Then she appeared. Amara. She wore a simple pair of jeans and a t-shirt, her hair tied up in a messy bun, which somehow made her look even more beautiful. She held her phone in one hand, headphones dangling around her neck. "Good morning, Chike," she said with a brightness that startled him. "Good morning, Amara," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. She looked him over, her eyes clear and curious. "You didn't drink the water yesterday." He blinked. "I did. Thank you." Her brows lifted slightly, amused. "You left the empty bottle here by the gate. I saw it." He swallowed. "Oh." There was a brief silence. Not awkward, just charged. Then she asked, "Will you be on duty later in the evening?" "Yes." "Good." She smiled and walked past him. Chike remained frozen, unsure what good meant, but he felt it deep in his chest. Amara's words. And her mother's warning. Inside the mansion, Amara dropped her bag on the marble counter as her mother entered the living room. "Amara," Lady Nwosu called. "A moment." Amara tensed. Her mother only used that tone when she wanted to talk about something serious. Or something controlling. "Yes, Mommy." Lady Nwosu folded her arms. "I saw you talking to the gate worker." Amara blinked. "His name is Chike." "That is irrelevant," her mother said sharply. "You must be careful how you carry yourself. People are watching." "Mommy, I was just greeting him." "You are the daughter of Chief Gabriel Nwosu. Your actions matter. Your associations matter. The press is quick to twist anything into scandal." A knot formed in Amara's stomach. Her mother continued, voice clipped and cold. Do not get too familiar with the staff, especially the men. Amara clenched her jaw. She hated that tone, the one that treated people like tools, not humans. I wasn't doing anything wrong, she said quietly. He's a good person. Good. Lady Nwosu scoffed. Please. Men like that pretend to be humble because they know girls like you get soft-hearted. Be wise, Amara. The word stung deeply. But she didn't argue. She simply nodded and walked away with a tight throat. Ill. Her mother's warning echoed through her all day. Don't get too familiar. Don't be soft. Don't trust him. And yet, she kept thinking about Chika's gentle eyes. She kept remembering how he held the bottle like it was precious. She kept replaying how he spoke to her, always with genuine respect, not because of her money but because it was who he was. The evening walk. True to her word, Amara returned to the gate in the evening. The sky was painted orange and purple as the sun set. Birds chirped. The compound lights flickered on. And Chika stood tall at the gate, uniform crisp, posture straight, but his heart racing faintly. When he saw her approaching, he adjusted his cap unnecessarily. She stopped a little closer to him than yesterday. You're always so serious, she teased softly. Does your face know how to relax? His lips twitched before he could stop himself. I try. Try harder, she said. Then she laughed, and the sound made the world feel lighter. They stood there quietly for a moment, the gentle breeze brushing past them. The golden light reflected in her eyes, and Chika felt something warm stirring in his chest. Where are you going? He asked before he could stop himself. A short walk, she replied. Then she looked at him with mischief in her smile. Will you come with me? Chika's breath caught. He knew the rules. Staff were not allowed to accompany the family outside without permission. Could cost him his job. Could cause trouble. Her father's temper was unpredictable, especially regarding his daughter. I can't leave the gate, he said carefully. Amara nodded slowly, understanding creeping in. I know, she whispered. I just like talking to you. You're different. He looked away, unable to withstand the intensity in her eyes. Thank you, he murmured. She held his gaze for a moment longer, then stepped away. I'll be back soon, she said. He watched her leave through the gate, a soft ache tightening in his chest. A secret she didn't mean to reveal. Half an hour later she returned, a little flushed from the walk. You're back early today, he said gently. I didn't want to keep you worrying, she replied. He startled. Me? Worry? She smiled knowingly. Yes. You check the street every few minutes when I'm out. He stiffened. I was just doing my job. She stepped a bit closer. So I make you do your job harder. He felt his ears grow warm. Amara, please, he said softly, almost whispering. Please what? She asked playfully. He searched for words, but none came. Amara exhaled, and her playful smile softened into something more serious. Something honest. Like, I'm not used to people being real with me. Everyone around me hides their intentions. Everyone wants something. But you look at me like I'm just a normal person. He swallowed. You are a normal person. Her voice turned fragile. Not in my world. Their eyes locked. It was too intense. Too deep. Too dangerous. Amara took a small breath and stepped back, breaking the moment before it pulled them both into trouble. Good night, Chika. Good night, Amara. She walked back toward the mansion. Chika watched her until she disappeared behind the tall doors. And for the first time he admitted to himself. He was in trouble. Because it wasn't just admiration anymore. Something was growing. Quietly. Slowly. Beautifully. Dangerously. The billionaire's daughter had opened her heart to the gateman. And Chika didn't know how to stop his own from responding. For the next 3 days, the mansion transformed into something Chika had never seen before. Not because of an event. Not because of visitors. But because of Kamsi. Her presence lingered in the air, like the scent of roses that clung to the hallway long after she passed. Every staff member felt it. Even the walls seemed more sensitive, listening closely whenever she spoke. And Chika. He felt her presence everywhere. He tried to hide it, tried to silence it, tried to bury the feeling under his duties. But every time he walked past the balcony where she stood that evening, every time he saw her forgotten hairband on the staircase railing, every time he caught a glimpse of her reflection through the glass windows, his heart betrayed him. The staff began to talk. The mansion workers, especially the women, noticed everything. 2 cooks whispered beside the kitchen door. Did you see how she smiled at him? Which him? Chika now. The gateman. Ah, you're right. And she doesn't smile like that for just anybody. In the laundry room, 2 housekeepers folded clothes while gossiping like seasoned elders at a village square. That girl is playing with fire. Which girl? Kamsi. Yes now. If her father even suspects she's noticing small boy like Chika. That man does not play with his reputation, oh. He will scatter everything. They nodded knowingly, as if they were discussing a national issue. But their whispers carried far, far enough to reach the ears of the one person it shouldn't. Chidi, the chief security officer. His eyes had a way of seeing too much. Always observing, always calculating. And he didn't like what he saw. Kamsi can't stop thinking. Meanwhile in her room, Kamsi lay on her bed staring at the ceiling like a girl who'd just discovered something dangerous and beautiful at the same time. She remembered the way Chika froze when she held his hand, the way he swallowed hard, the fear in his eyes, the respect in his voice, but most of all, the innocence in his smile. She knew very few men who smiled like that, without motive, without entitlement, without expectation. For a billionaire's daughter who had spent years navigating fake friends, greedy suitors, and plastic sincerity, Chika's simplicity was refreshing, felt real, too real. She pressed a pillow to her chest. Why can't I stop thinking about him? She whispered to herself. The answer scared her. 'Cause deep down, she knew. The accidental meeting happened the next morning. Chika had just finished polishing one of the SUVs. He stood up, wiping his forehead, when the garage door slid open. Kamsi walked in. Alone. Soft morning light behind her, making her glow like she stepped out of a painting. Chika nearly dropped the polishing cloth. Good morning, Ma. She smiled. Chika, how many times will I tell you to stop calling me Ma? He looked down shy. Sorry, it's just, you're my madam. She stepped closer. Do I look like your madam right now? He hesitated, glancing at her simple dress and slippers. And no, you look different today. She raised a brow. Oh, how? Chika scratched his head nervously. I don't know, softer, happier. Like the sun is following you. The words escaped before he could swallow them back. Kamsi's lips parted in surprise. No man had complimented her like that in years. Most complimented her beauty, her family name, her father's wealth. But no one said she looked happy. She felt her heart shift. Just a little. Her father returns. And then the peace shattered. Because that afternoon, an entourage of black cars approached the mansion. The workers scattered. The security tightened. The gates trembled. The billionaire himself, Chief Odenigbo Okafor, Kamsi's father, had returned from his 3-week international trip. His presence alone was like a storm entering a quiet sky. A man whose voice made boardrooms go silent. A man who ruled his businesses, his empire, and his household with the same iron precision. As he stepped out of the car, the air grew heavy. Chika stood at the gate, saluting sharply, trying to appear invisible. Chief Odenigbo's eyes scanned the compound, then paused on Chika. For just 2 seconds. But those 2 seconds felt like a knife pressed against Chika's neck. Kamsi watched from the balcony, heart pounding. Because she knew her father. He did not miss anything. The warning. Later that night, Chief Odenigbo walked around the compound, inspecting everything the way a king inspects his throne. And when he reached the gate, he stopped. Chika's heart slammed in his chest. The chief looked at him with the cold calmness of a man who could destroy a life without raising his voice. "You're the new Gateman." "Why, yes, sir." The chief nodded slowly. "Good. Work hard. Mind your duties. Respect workplace boundaries." He paused. "And don't look at anything or anyone that is above your level." The message was clear. Chika bowed deeply, fear gripping his spine. But when the chief walked away, a soft silhouette appeared behind the curtains of the balcony. Kamsi, watching, listening, and her chest tightened with both fear and defiance, because her heart had already chosen its path. And it wasn't the one her father demanded. The warning in Chief Odenigbo's voice echoed through Chika's mind long after the man walked away. "Don't look at anything or anyone above your level." That sentence stabbed deeper than any insult Chika had ever faced. He knew what the chief meant. He understood the boundary. He understood the danger. But how was he supposed to control his heart? How was he supposed to unfeel what had already taken root? He shook his head, pushing the thoughts away. He needed to focus. He needed to work. He needed to stay invisible. Yet, love has never been something a man can simply swallow and walk away from. Kamsi makes her move. The next afternoon, while Chika was sweeping the front driveway, he heard soft footsteps. He knew the rhythm instantly. Kamsi. He didn't look up, afraid someone might be watching. But she didn't care. "Chika," she said softly. He froze. "Good afternoon, Ma," he replied quietly, still sweeping. She stepped closer. "Chika, will you stop this? Stop calling me Ma like I'm your grandmother." He swallowed hard. "Your father said." "I don't care what my father said." He dropped the broom. Her voice was gentle. Too gentle. The kind that makes a man's resolve melt like butter in sunlight. She took another step. "You've been avoiding me." He looked away. "I'm trying to respect boundaries." Kamsi sighed, her eyes softening. "Chika, do you think I'm blind?" He blinked. "Blind to what, Ma? I mean, Kamsi." She bit her lip, struggling to find the right words. "To how you look at me. To how your voice changes when you talk to me. To the way you froze when I held your hand. To the way your heart beats fast whenever I come near." Chika's breath hitched. Her honesty hit him like a wave. "Kamsi, we can't do this," he whispered, voice trembling. "Why not?" she asked. "Because I'm a Gateman. And you're—" She cut him off. "I'm a human being before anything else. Feel. Care. And right now, Chika, I care about you." His heart pounded. "Kamsi, if your father finds out." She stepped even closer, her voice steady. "My father doesn't choose who I feel something for." Chika closed his eyes. This was dangerous. This was sweet. This was everything he ever dreamed of. And everything he feared. The rumor explodes. But the mansion had eyes. And ears. And tongues that did not rest. By evening, the entire staff compound was buzzing like a disturbed beehive. The cooks whispered aggressively. They talked today. Right there at the gate. The cleaners nearly dropped their mops. "Ah. This one will scatter the house. Oh. A billionaire's daughter and a gateman." The drivers gathered like village men under a mango tree. "It will not end well." That chief, he no day smile. Some even placed bets. But gossip is like smoke. Once it rises, it finds its way into every corner. Including the chief's study. Through Chidi. The chief's fury begins to boil. Chidi bent slightly as he gave his report. "Sir. There seems to be unusual closeness between your daughter and the new Gateman." Chief Odenigbo did not blink. "Define unusual." Chidi swallowed. "They speak often, she seeks him out. And today she was seen talking to him privately at the main entrance." Silence. A dangerous silence. The kind of silence that meant a storm was coming. Finally the chief spoke. "Watch them. Both of them. Closely." Chidi nodded sharply. "And sir, If the rumor is true, what should be done? The chief's jaw tightened. Crush it. Immediately. The gift she gave him. That night, when Chika closed the gate at 9 p.m., a small white envelope slipped under the metal bar and fell at his feet. He picked it up, confused. His name was written on it. Chika. Inside was a folded paper and something else. He unfolded it and froze. It was a phone, a small, simple smartphone. No fancy brand. No flashy features. Just a clean new phone. And a note. In case you ever need me. Kamsi. His chest tightened. He looked toward the balcony, and there she was, standing in the shadows, watching him quietly. She didn't wave. She didn't smile. She just looked at him with a softness that felt like a confession. And at that moment, Chika realized something frightening and beautiful. Whatever this was, it had already begun. It was too late to turn back. Rain came without warning that afternoon. Not the soft, apologetic kind. This was the fierce, cleansing kind, like the sky was trying to wash away the sins of the morning. Chika stood outside the estate gate, soaked from head to toe, but he didn't move. He couldn't. The weight inside his chest held him still. It was as if the universe itself was paused, waiting to see what he would do next. He wanted to scream, run back, break down the gate, carry her away. But he was raised on dignity, raised on the kind of quiet strength that didn't need noise to be real. So he stood there, breathing, hurt but alive, shaken but not broken. Inside the mansion, Kamsi sat on the floor of her room, her back pressed against the door her father had locked to stop her from embarrassing the family further. Her face was streaked with tears. Her voice was hoarse from crying. Her hands trembled with a mix of anger and heartbreak. But beneath all that, spark, a stubborn, growing flame. She whispered into her palms, "I won't let you go, Chika. I won't." Her words were fragile, but her resolve was steel. The mother steps into the fire. While the mansion simmered under tension, one person had watched and analyzed everything quietly. Chief Odenigbo's wife, Lady Nena. For years she had been the calm to her husband's storm. But today, even calm had its limits. She walked into the study without knocking. Her husband looked up sharply. "What is it now?" Nena closed the door behind her. "I want to understand something," she said, her tone dangerously composed. "What exactly did that young man do to deserve this humiliation?" Chief Odenigbo scoffed. "He overstepped." "How?" "By doing his job. By being polite. By being human. He encouraged feelings he cannot sustain." "Feelings your daughter developed on her own," she replied. "You raised her to be thoughtful. She is drawn to kindness, not bloodlines." The chief's jaw tightened. "You seem to forget who you married," he warned. Nena stepped closer, her voice steady. "And you seem to forget the daughter you are about to break." He stiffened. "Break." The word hit him somewhere his pride couldn't shield. "You locked her in her room," Lady Nena continued. "You dragged a humble boy like a criminal. You humiliated them both. Is that what you call protecting her?" The chief turned away, staring at the rain through the window. He said nothing. Because even pride has moments of doubt, quiet cracks that truth slips into. The letter that changed everything. Night fell. Chika sat in his tiny apartment, staring blankly at the walls. His clothes were still damp, but he had not bothered to change. He replayed everything in his head over and over. Her tears, her father's rage, the guards dragging him. Every memory stabbed, then throbbed. He didn't cry, but the ache inside him felt ancient. A knock came at the door. Hesitant. He opened it and froze. Lady Nena stood there, holding an umbrella and a sealed envelope. "Good evening, Chika." He stepped aside immediately, shocked. She walked in with an elegance that made the tiny room feel even smaller. "I came because you need to hear the truth," she said gently. Chika swallowed. "Is she all right?" "She is hurt," Nena replied. "But she is strong. and she refuses to let go of what the two of you have. Chika closed his eyes briefly. Nena handed him the envelope. My husband wrote this. Read it. Chika opened it carefully. Inside was a simple letter. If you claim to care for my daughter, then you will prove it. Not with rebellion, not with secrets, not with arrogance, but with responsibility. If you are willing to stand before me as a man, not a gateman, come to my office tomorrow by 9 a.m. Signed, Chief Odenigbo. Chika stared at the letter, stunned. Lady Nena smiled softly. He is harsh, but he is not blind, she said. He saw the way you looked at her. He knows you didn't do this for money. But he fired me, Chika whispered. That was his pride speaking. This letter, this is his heart speaking. Rare, I assure you. Chika breathed deeply, steady. What should I do? Lady Nena stood, touched his shoulder lightly. You already know. The morning of decision. Chika didn't sleep. He didn't even sit. He stood most of the night, staring at the letter, replaying every moment with Kamsi, weighing courage against fear. By sunrise he had made his choice. He wore his cleanest shirt, still faded but neatly pressed. He combed his hair. He straightened his posture. Then he walked out, the morning breeze brushing against him like a blessing. At 8:59 a.m., he stepped into the compound, this time through the main gate, not as staff but as a man with purpose. The guards parted for him with hesitant respect. Inside the office, Chief Odenigbo sat at his desk, expression unreadable. Chika bowed slightly. Good morning, sir. The chief didn't respond immediately. He studied the young man. His posture, his eyes, his sincerity. Finally, you came. I did, sir. The chief leaned back. What do you want from my daughter? Chika's voice was steady. Nothing she doesn't want to give. But everything I offer is real. And what is that? The chief pressed. My respect, my loyalty, my honesty, and... He paused briefly. My heart. The chief exhaled slowly, measuring the weight of those words. Do you love her? The chief asked. Chika met his eyes. Yes, sir. A long silence followed. Then, to Chika's surprise, the chief's face softened just a little. You remind me of myself, he said quietly. Many years ago. Chika blinked in shock. The chief continued. I wasn't born wealthy, Chika. People forget that. I had to fight for the right to stand beside the woman I loved. The chief looked up. And now my daughter is fighting the same fight. He stood, walked around the desk, stopped in front of Chika. You will work for me, the chief said. Chika's heart skipped. As what, sir? As a trainee in my logistics company. If you prove yourself for 1 year, we will revisit this conversation. Chika felt the world tilt. Job, chance, hope. And Kamsi, he whispered. The chief sighed deeply. She can see you, but with boundaries, and with respect. If you break that, all doors close. Chika nodded. I won't fail you, sir. Don't fail my daughter, the chief corrected gently. The reunion. Kamsi rushed into the courtyard the moment she saw Chika stepping out of the office. Chika! She ran to him, not caring who watched, and threw her arms around him. He held her tightly, relief washing over both of them like sunlight breaking after a storm. What happened? What did he say? Are you okay? She asked breathlessly. He smiled, small but full of promise. I'm staying. Her eyes widened. You're what? I'm starting a new job. In your father's company. Kamsi gasped, her happiness blooming like fireworks. Chika. That means. Yes, he said softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. We have a chance. A real one. She hugged him again, laughing and crying all at once. From the balcony above, Lady Nena watched with a gentle smile. Behind her, Chief Odenigbo stood silently, not smiling, but not stopping them either. And for now, that was enough. The ending that felt like a beginning. Weeks passed. Chika worked harder than he ever had in his life. He studied, trained, proved himself daily, not to impress the chief, but to honor the trust he had been given. Kamsi met him after work under the mango tree behind the house. They talked. They laughed. They rebuilt their bond slowly, patiently, respectfully. And the chief watched from afar, silent, thoughtful, secretly impressed. One evening, as Chika walked Kamsi back into the house, the chief saw something he could no longer deny. His daughter's joy, her peace, her ease, the glow she carried. And he finally whispered the truth to himself. Perhaps love does not check job titles. Checks character. Checks courage. Checks heart. And the young man who once stood trembling at his gate now stood tall beside his daughter. With dignity, with humility, with love. A love that refused to die. A love that refused to break. A love that, against every odd, won.